imagine a busy street, all kind of noise happening all around. People are rushing to get to work, to get to meetings, to get to an event. Everybody's honking because they all need to get somewhere. And the noise is loud. So imagine then within all this noise in this bustling city, could be Fort Worth, could be Dallas, or you could imagine being in New York or Chicago. A very busy urban life. And within this city, there is a park that has become an oasis. There at the park sits a young person, could be a young lady, could be a young man, and this person is reading a book, not from an iPhone, not from an iPad, but an actual real book. And there is a serene peace within this person that you can tell that this person is filled with joy. People walk by and was wondering, what in the world could this person be doing and being so joyful in the midst of busyness of life, in the midst of the chaos that is happening all around. Yet this person is joyful in what she was doing, sitting there in this quiet park. So could it be her book? Was her book really that good? It could have been her life situation. It could have been something that she was anticipating, that she was expecting. It could have been any of the above or all of it. But this young person sitting in the park realized that besides all the noise in the world, besides all the chaos that was happening all around them, this young person found a profound peace in God that brought them joy. That no matter what life was throwing at her or him, that the joy that they were experiencing did not come from the circumstances of life, but rather the joy that we're experiencing came from God alone. The peace that surpasses all understanding. A couple of days ago, a couple of people and I drove down to Glen Lake and in Glen Rose to drop off Tom and Brian at the walk to Emmaus, which we'll be picking them back up later today. But as we were driving and we were passing all the city noise and all the city traffic, we came towards the serene peace of being on the countryside. We noticed the livestock on the side. We noticed the beauty of an open field. We noticed all the beautiful pine trees. We noticed the peace that came from our surroundings as we left the noisy of the big city behind us. Being on a spiritual retreat is what Tom and Brian are going through right now. And there is a reason why all participants are being asked to leave their phone at home, because they want you to be present, to be fully present without distractions from what is happening in your daily life. I can recall a few times that I have been on a spiritual retreat. Once it was at Glen Lake. Another time it was at the Wild Cattle Ranch in Graham. Another time in an island off in Seattle. Several times in the islands of Hawaii where I grew up. But to be in a spiritual retreat, the purpose of it is to shut your mind from the noisiness of the world and to be present with God, to be still and listen for the voice of God. The passage from the book of Philippians, or the whole book of Philippians that we have been journeying through these past several weeks. The purpose is for us to find that inner peace with God. That regardless of what it is that we may be experiencing in life, that regardless of the chaos that is happening all around us, we are encouraged to stay focused on God, to keep pressing on, and to not to give up, but rather remain focused on Christ, who is near to us. And in everything, as Paul tells us in our passage, do not be anxious for anything. Do not worry about life, but rather in all things, take it to the Lord in prayer. Like the song, like the hymn that we open worship with today. Take it to the Lord in prayer. It is then that you and I will find the peace that surpasses all understanding. The early church in Philippi needed to find peace. And they could only find peace if they focused on Christ and be united as a body. Just like the peaceful person in the park, the church needed to find a sense of peace despite the urban chaos. Their lives were filled with conflicts, pressures from society, and internal disagreements. Yet they clung to the teachings of Christ, finding an unshakable peace despite their circumstances. Today, our lives are often like that bustling city streets, the urban city life. We face pressure wherever we look. Conflicts within our relationships, worries about the future. Will we make it next month? Will we make it to next year? It's easy to get caught up in the chaos and lose our peace. But just like that person in the park and those early Christians and the early church, we can find peace that transcends the noise of the world.